as a lawyer in an insurance defense firm, and then in 1981 founded the personal injury practice of Hastings and Hastings. And for those of you who've come from Phoenix or spent time in Phoenix, you will recognize him because he's built this extraordinary, interesting, broad, high-impact practice serving many, many people, making law for those who are injured accessible. And it's really quite an extraordinary practice, and I've learned from him, and we've discussed it over the years. He continues to practice in the firm's Chandler office. He is also extraordinarily committed to our community, of which I am thrilled that we are a part, and to his family. He supports a wide array of charitable organizations, including Special Olympics Arizona, the Salvation Army, and the Phoenix Children's Hospital. He has been supporting this college and our students for many years, and now, for the first time, has created our first scholarship for our undergraduate students, our BA in law students. It's an extraordinary program. It's an engine of diversity and access. It has deep connections to our graduate programs as well. And to be able now to also open the door for those students is quite extraordinary. And we ask David to offer some comments today.
All right. It's just a privilege and an honor to be here. I just want to thank my family for coming down to support me. And I look around the room and I know quite a few of the attorneys here, and I have just loved this university. I was told, talk about why you picked the U of A. And I was told that, why you did that. And honestly, I'm a kid from upstate New York who came down here with one goal, which was to play golf for the U of A and eventually go on the PGA Tour. But after being here a week and playing with Dan Pohl, who was the longest driver on the PGA Tour, I realized that the distance between my drive and his drive could accommodate a Circle K. So I thought I better get serious and get studying. Now I was told that please don't be boring, but if you are, don't worry. You look good. You look a little bit like Donald Trump, just not quite as big and not quite as orange. So, and then the dean told me I had 10 minutes, but I reminded him of what Joe Biden said this week, which is, I will not be silenced. So, but honestly, when I came here and that happened, I went into business, and before I get into more detail, the greatness of this school, both undergraduate and law school, there's no question. It's gorgeous. They have good sports teams. It's a beautiful city, but the greatness of the entire university is the faculty. And that's what I tell my daughter to do, is to go to a school where the faculty is exceptional. And the U of A is definitely that way. So when I first got to U of A and went into business, I had a tremendous accounting professor who was the head of the department that I loved accounting at the beginning, and he called me up after class and offered me an internship at what's now Raytheon. And for a starving kid, with student loans, I jumped on it. $800 a month. It was just a fantastic opportunity to help pay the bills. But by the time I got to my third year in undergrad, I took business law, and I was quite disillusioned with accounting. I just really didn't enjoy it. And we had a visiting professor from the Wharton School by the name of Dr. Weber, and I know 2 classmates that went to U of A Law because of this professor. And that's what I'm talking about, these professors. And every day there was a line to ask questions, because it was a fascinating class, because he made it fascinating. He made you motivated. And one day towards the end of the semester, and he always did this with everybody, he goes, "Hey, Hastings," he called everybody by their last name, and he had the personality to pull it off. He says, "What are you going to do with yourself?" And I said, "Well, I was going to go into accounting, but I got into the upper classes and I'm not really enjoying it. I'm actually, in light of your class, thinking of taking the LSAT." And I'll never forget what he said, and it's what I would tell all you students here. He said, "Well, you'll never be a very good lawyer, but you'll have a lot of fun. And so, the reality of it is the practice is fun. And when I first started at Gus Rosenfeld, because when I graduated in 1979, there were a lot of jobs, and I graduated fairly high in my class, so I had quite a few offers, and I picked Gus Rosenfeld because I did insurance defense and libel defense, and I got to work on some libel cases for the Arizona Republic. And as part of that, I also got a plaintiff's case, and I really enjoyed that part. The difference between defense and plaintiff's work is defense, State Farm says, great job, send us your bill. And in plaintiff's cases, if you do a great job, sometimes they even send you a Christmas card. And that, to me, just made it worthwhile. So my career has transformed from, on the lines, did a lot of court work at the beginning of my career when more court work was done than is done today. And then I transitioned to having to run the place and thank goodness I had my business degree. And then more of a mentor and teacher to the young attorneys. And I can't tell you how many of my guys have gone on to start their own law firms in Phoenix, but I'm actually pretty happy about that. So then I was asked, well, why did I do this endowment? And I will tell you, because I was blessed and grateful for this university and what it did for me. It just changed my life. I mean, Dr. Weber, I had the privilege of having Stanley Feldman as my professor for civil procedure, first year. He went on to be Chief Justice and wrote some of the opinions that are nationally still followed today. And every time I would see Stanley at CLE by the Sea in San Diego, even when he was Chief Justice, I'd say, Professor, how are you? Because I just felt like it was something that was unique to him. I remember Professor Wexler, for law and psychiatry, he was just an outstanding man and made you think. And of course, Dean Ayers for ethics. Dean Ayers, basically, and this would be another piece of advice I would give you. I think it came from him, but I'm not sure. He said, ethics is really not that hard. If you just pretend that 60 minutes is on the other side of that phone, the other side of that desk, or on the other side of that email, 90% of your ethics problems go away. And the other ones can usually be handled because it's usually just an honest mistake. So when I met with the dean about doing an endowment, he told me about this program for a bachelor in laws. And I thought, wow, I know that just from my days when I did some corporate work, that there's a lot of companies out there that could use somebody on staff who could say, hey, we got a problem here. We can't do this here. This contract's not fair. And they don't want to have to go out and hire Lewis and Roca to look at it because they can't afford it. And so when he told me this combination, and told me that this program had already been featured in the Wall Street Journal and that I could be the first one to do it so we can get this thing off the ground, I thought that is perfect because I wanted to give back to the university, but not just the law school. I wanted to give back to all, and this is kind of a combo. So for me, that was just right up my alley, and I was just privileged and happy to do it and honored to be here and tell you a little bit about it today. So I just want to thank you all for taking the time to listen, and I wish you all the best. And the students, just remember what I said about 60 minutes, and have a lot of fun. It's fun to help people, and I've been doing it forever, and I still enjoy going in. So thank you very much.